This is Friday, July 7th. There are 12 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2023. Welcome to SD Concast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTWE go. Oh my God, I love Live Journal and my Live Journal wants me. Current food is hyperactive. Current music, Refuge 73. I love the color scheme. It's pink and purple. It looks sweet.
Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
And also joining us tonight, her first time this season, our amazing graphic designer, Sarah Lacey.
Hello. It's my first time in like 5 to 7 some years.
Long time, yeah.
All right. I think you have something to read, Carrie.
Do I? Oh, this season of the SD Concast is sponsored by Adrenalizing Media. They're heading to San Diego Comic-Con, where they've teamed up with 3D Retro to invite you into the universe of NR City, a district set in present-day Central Western Germany. The universe follows Rico Stahl, an ex-military, as he battles with both his past and present while returning to the NR City PD. The franchise will begin as a comic book series titled NR City Stories Extreme, which will lead into a feature film, NR City, tentatively scheduled for 2025. You can find them at SDCC at booth number 2548 to meet the creators, legendary composer Vince DiCola, who you may know from Transformers the movie, stuntmaster Andy Ching, and you can get your comic signed by cover artists Lucio Perillo, Carla Cohen, Ralph Paul, and Eric Eatmon Chan. Again, that's booth number 2548.
All right. So this is a slightly different show than we've been doing for the rest of the season because this is the breakdown show of the schedule for Wednesday through Friday. We're going to take your comments and questions throughout the show. We'll probably answer a bunch of them at the end of each day or at the end of the show. But if there's anything that pops up, we'll try and keep an eye on that. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConcast. And we will be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment or ask a question there. So first up, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just like James said, this is really about the programming schedule. So if you have questions unrelated to that, we might try to answer a couple quick ones like at the end, but we will be doing a regular show on Tuesday. So if you have like normal questions, we will definitely answer those then.
Yeah, we will not have a guest on the final show, so we have plenty of time to go over all the news and do a little Q&A during that episode. So if you don't need the answer right now, wait till Tuesday.
Wait till Tuesday, please.
All right, so we're going to start with
Ballroom
Wednesday.
20 on Wednesday. Yeah.
Back.
So it's back. This is great. So for those who hadn't been before last year, Warner Brothers always used to do like screenings on preview night. And last year they didn't. I mean, I don't think Warner Brothers was basically there at all outside of Hall H last year. But it's great that they are back in Ballroom 20 on preview night. Besides the floor, this is about the only other thing to do at the convention on Wednesday. So if you have a preview night, you can swing by Ballroom 20 and you get to see the world premiere of Adventure Time, Fiona and Cake, alongside all new episodes of Riverdale, Teen Titans Go, a screening of Mrs. Davis, and then an episode of Superpowered, the DC story. So again, if you've got like a Wednesday preview night ticket and you finish with the floor earlier, or you're just not that into the show floor, like go check this out. This is always a lot of fun and it's super easy to get into.
And then that's it.
That's it for Wednesday.
Enjoy your preview night. Nothing else to see. So what do we think of room flow for this one panel?
Again, I think it'll be a walk-in all night. Just go grab a seat. I do though. Okay, so I want to say this because when I used to go to this, I was always like baffled by people who would sit in the center as if like they were going to watch the stage. Like on preview night, you were not watching the stage. You're watching the screens on the sides. Don't go sit in the center. Go sit in front of the screen. Like a dude comes up on stage like for 30 seconds between things and it's like, and now a presentation of Adventure Time, and that's about it for the stage. So
there you go. All right, on to Thursday, and we're gonna cover 7 rooms. And we're going to kick it off, and we're going to go in order from the smallest room we're covering all the way up. Now, there's probably a good 10 to 15, maybe 20 other rooms and places that they hold panels in for the convention, but those we do not cover on this particular schedule breakdown. If you have any questions on that, those now, this is a good podcast to ask questions, and we'll try and answer questions for specific rooms. But we're going to kick it off with room 7AB, and Carrie, I think this one is for you.
All right, so things kick off in the morning at 10 a.m. with Do You Want to Build a Droid, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of the Star Wars droid builders giving you some tips and tricks on how to build your own. At 11 a.m. is the 4th annual Hollywood Game Changers, a conversation with the women behind popular film and TV projects. And it's got folks like the makeup department head from Abbott Elementary, the hair department head from Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, folks from Swarm, and more. So if you love TV, this is just a cool chance to see some of the behind the scenes folks. At 12 p.m. is From Script to Screen, behind the camera of storytelling across diverse mediums. And it has like some composers from different things, as well as executive producers. Again, just a whole bunch of talent from a bunch of different series, like Haley's on it, Be More Chill, Mark of Death, Chasing Amy, and more. At 1 p.m. is fan favorites behind the scenes of Yellow Jackets, Gotham Knights, I'm a Virgo, and more. And again, it's behind the scenes TV folks talking about a whole bunch of different shows. This one has a lot of like VX, FX kind of folks. At 2 p.m. is Design for Television and Film with 7 leading designers. And these are like concept designers and art designers from things like Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, all kinds of fun projects. At 3 p.m. is Change the Ref, Activism Through Fandom. And this is the father of one of the Parkland shooting victims who is here. He is here to basically talk about gun reform, and he is releasing a collectible to immortalize his son who he lost, as well as raise further awareness and about things that we can do with Congress. At 4 p.m. is Designing the X-Men, a This Week in Marvel special event, which has Agent M, if you know him, talking all about upcoming X-Men projects with some folks like Tom Mueller, Joshua Cassara, and more. At 5 p.m. is Keen Spot's Star-Studded Grubs cartoon, bringing Christmas in July to Comic-Con, which is, again, just a lot of Keen Spot folks. I do want to mention that stars Jodie Sweetin and Felicia Day will also be on this panel, along with Debbie Derryberry from Jimmy Neutron. And they will just be talking about Keen Spot's different projects. At 6 p.m. is Creating an RPG Empire, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's all about turning your passion for RPGs and tabletops into a career. And this one, we definitely wanted to point out because it actually has actor Matthew Lillard on it. So the cool thing about a panel like this that I did want to talk about is, so obviously there's the writer's strike right now, and there is still the potential for an actor's strike. If the actors strike, we may not see actors on some of the like bigger studio panels, like What We Do in the Shadows and all that kind of stuff. But something like this, where Matthew Lillard is on a panel for something totally unrelated to film, like it's not a studio project, it's just him talking about tabletop and stuff, that's totally fine. Like even if the actors strike, like he should be there for that. At 7 p.m. is Magic the Gathering Goes to Universes Beyond, where a principal game designer for Magic the Gathering will be talking about different upcoming projects. And then at 8 p.m. is Remembering Greg Bear, with folks like Scott Shaw, Paul Salmon, David Clark, and Astrid Bear to talk about the iconic sci-fi writer. So that is it for 7AB on Thursday, and that room holds 480.
Is there going to be a problem getting into any of these panels?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's cool that like Felicia Day is over here. I think it's cool that Matthew Lillard is over here. So those might get, a couple of extra folks. But a lot of people also don't necessarily read the panel descriptions.
Yes.
But because you're watching this podcast. So if you want to see any of those folks, this is kind of a cool way to do that, where I don't think you'll have any trouble getting in.
Yeah. I think the Felicia Day one may, if there's people who maybe they're scheduling conflicts to see her at one of the other, I think she's so far on like 2 other panels. So if they don't get a chance to see her, they may, because she does have a rather large following. So that may be the only one. So if you really want to see Jodie Sweetin and Felicia Day and everyone else for that Keen Spot panel, definitely get there a little bit early. You don't have to get there very early, just a little bit early. And everything else should be fine. And go from there. So next up, we have room 6DE, which seats 884. And at 10:15, it kicks off with Vault Comics, Stranger Than Science Fiction, Outer Worlds and Other Voices in Comics. And this is from a new publisher that started just a few years ago that publishes science fiction comics. And they're basically a bunch of them are going to be talking about making sci-fi comics. Then at 11:30, we have Between Two Toms. And this features 2 of the biggest people in comics today, Tom King and Tom Taylor. And they're just going to discuss comics, and they're joined by Nicola Scott and Mitch Gerads, who are also big names. So this is one of those panels that features some big names in comics for those of you who are very interested in comics. At 12:45, we have Gotham City, which is going to be another DC panel, which features Tom King and Teenie Howard, Colin Kelly, and a bunch of people talking about Gotham City in the DC universe. And then at 2 p.m., we have the big man at DC, the spotlight on Jim Lee. This is his panel that he gets for being a special guest for Comic-Con. And he's going to be talking about his years in the comic industry, which has been for now over 25 years. He'll sketch characters on screen while he's talking. So you can just watch him draw and ask some questions and all that kind of thing. And then at 3:15, we have Superheroes and Not So Super Villains with Patton Oswalt and Friends. And this is Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom and Scott Hepburn, James Tynion IV, and Jeff Lemire discussing creating their own heroes, villains, worlds, and all that kind of thing. And it's moderated by Ben Blacker from the Thrilling Adventure Hour. At 4:30, we have Books to Film tie-in, an insider perspective. This is Perry Nemiroff from Collider, joined by a bunch of authors, including Rektok Ross, aka Leonid Kocher, and J.L., who wrote a bunch of books that are tied into other IPs like Disney. So they'll discuss bringing your favorite books to the screen and the future of literary IP. Then we have Creators in Space, Expressing Our Humanity in an Alien Environment at 5:45. And this is just what it sounds like. It's about people talking about living off the planet. And it's a bunch of people from different things like the International Space Station, National Lab, and Redwire Space, and other places. At 7, we have the Klingon Lifestyles presentation. And this is the crew of the IKV Stranglehold to do a whatever the Klingons do at Comic-Con. It's the 30th.
Sarah's been.
It's the best.
This is the 30th one.
I'll talk about it in my Dark Horse because it's a Dark Horse spoiler.
Okay. All right. So let's go back and see where we have to worry about things. And honestly, you have to worry about the comic panels, I think, because those are big names with between the 2 Toms and all the way through to Patton Oswalt panel. Those are all going to be draws. If you want and need to be in one of those panel rooms, I would, because it's Jim Lee and then Patton Oswalt, and then 2 hours before that it's Tom King and Tom Taylor. Honestly, if you're a comics fan, just get in there before the Toms panel and sit for 4 hours and enjoy a whole round of comics. If you need to be a
Decide-
specific one, be in there. Like, I'd say get in the panel before, like at the beginning of the panel before, if you can, and just sit through one panel to get to your panel. I think it's going to be pretty big.
Because the room holds 884, and like you just said, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a lot of turnover here. Like, if you're a fan of Tom King, you're probably going to be a fan of Jim Lee, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree.
Big time.
Okay, so next up, we have room 6A, which holds just over 1,000. And on Thursday, things kick off at 11:15 a.m. with Mattel and their WWE Elite Squad fan panel. It doesn't really say who will be on the star-studded panel, but they usually bring a couple wrestlers and it's a good time. At 12:30 is the Owl House. Weirdos Have to Stick Together. And this one does list cast. And again, the real question here is like, what's going to happen? Like, if the writers strike for something like this, it might mean that like the cast can't come.
Is
So just-
Owl House still being produced?
I thought so. Is it not?
Well, I don't
Maybe it's
watch it, so
not.
I don't recall. But if it's not being produced, then I think they're fine. They're just showing up to talk about something that they did. If it's still being produced, then yes, that applies of whether or not they might.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. It looks like you're right. It looks like the series finale aired in April. So that one actually should be okay.
Yeah.
At 1:45 is Women of Concept Art for Film and TV, which again is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of women who do concept art for different TV programs like The Boys, Haunted Mansion, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow, Lucifer. So it's a chance to go talk to some cool women, probably see some fun art, and there's even a giveaway for a possible pen tablet. At 3 p.m. is the Crunchyroll industry panel, where you can come and learn all about the upcoming animes from Crunchyroll. At 4:15 is another wrestle panel. This one is WrestleQuest, the wrestleification of an RPG, where Mega Cat Studios will be bringing team members alongside legendary wrestlers to basically talk about the mechanics of the wrestling ring and things of that nature. And then at 5:30 is the panel I'm excited about, which is Sesame Street Muppets Live. It is Elmo, Grover, Oscar the Grouch, the Count, and many more, basically just doing a panel all about the Muppets. What is not to love here? At 6:45 is the official Power Rangers 30th anniversary celebration, and they're bringing all kinds of folks from the various Power Ranger shows, including like Patrick David, Roger Velasco, Brennan Maya. I'm not going to keep saying these names because I'm going to mispronounce them. But if you love Power Rangers, this will be a great panel. And then at 8 p.m. is the 26th annual Comic-Con Superhero Kung Fu Extravaganza, which is basically where Rick Mayers joins Master Remaster Frank Dejing, and every year Rick Mayers basically shows like crazy kung fu clips. They bring surprise guests, sneak peeks, world premieres. It's just crazy but fun. And again, this room holds just a little bit over 1,000. So let's talk room flow. I think Sesame Street is going to be the problem.
Yes, Sesame Street's the main problem in this room.
Yes.
That will pack the house and it will be full, and you will not be able to get in if you show up within, I would say, 15 to 30 minutes of the panel starting. I think you're out of luck.
Yeah, I think so too.
You're going to have to sit through some wrestling, people.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to suggest. Like, if you really want to make sure you make it into Muppets, like I would for sure get there before WrestleQuest. And I mean, maybe even show up like halfway through or at the start of Crunchyroll. So
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the payoff is you get to see some Sesame Street characters.
Yes. And according to Squeaky M, at the Owl House panel at New York Comic Con last year was pretty packed. It got extremely
Okay.
full. So if you're worried about
Okay.
Owl House, again, sit through some wrestlers. Look, they program this to where you are going to find out about wrestling to sit through your favorite panels. Unless you're
Whether you like it or not.
and then you're going to do it anyway. But anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you're worried about Owl House, get there during wrestling, 15 to 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more, who knows. And then for Sesame Street, for sure, it's going to be full.
Yeah. Great.
I think the room will clear. I think the Power Rangers panel might be well attended, but also I think with Sesame Street clearing out, I think you'll be
It'll
fine.
clear out. Yeah. Everybody's gonna clear out after Sesame Street. Okay, James. So let's
What are
talk
we on?
6 BCF. 6 BCF.
Seats 2,160 people. Let's see. 10:30 a.m. We are kicking off with Lego. I had a dreams last night about Ninjago. So this is basically a bunch of Lego people from Lego talking about dreams and Ninjago. So if you're into that, you head here. Pokemon bringing iconic animation to global audiences. And this is people from the Pokemon company talking about the new series that's coming out. Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, the series. It looks like is what it is. And then at 1 p.m., we have Braving the Elements Live, which is a recording of the Avatar Braving the Elements podcast that is hosted by Janet Varney, the voice of Korra, and Dante Basco, the voice of Prince Zuko. So if you want to meet those folks and see them and be part of a live recording, head to this panel. 2:15, we have Hold the Sauce. Good Burger 2 is back. The highly anticipated movie stars Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell will be joined by Good Burger 2 cast members Lowell Ray Howery, Josh Server, and Kamaya Fairburn to discuss the new Paramount Plus original movie, the sequel to the other movie and the comedy series on Nickelodeon. At 3:30, we have Masters of the Universe Revolution, a conversation with Kevin Smith and cast. And again, that's exactly what this panel is. Apparently, there will be a Goliath appearance by a special cast member, and they're going to show some exclusive scenes and stuff like that, in addition to talking to everyone from the show. At 4:45, we have Mother May I, featuring Holland Roden and Kyle Gallner. They will both be there to discuss and celebrate their new film, Mother May I, which opens the week of Comic-Con. They're going to have some sneak peeks, clips, and the director and producer will also be there. At 6 p.m., we have Legion M, It's All Happening. And that's Legion M talking about new films that they have coming out, including things that already have come out, like the William Shatner documentary and Mandy, and You Can Call Me Bill. That's the Shatner documentary. But anyway, they're going to talk about all the stuff that they do and stuff about Hollywood. At 7:15 is Worst Cartoon Ever. And this is for the 19th time. Jerry Beck is bringing a bunch of cartoons that apparently are horrible. So if you enjoy train wrecks, this is your panel. 9 p.m., we have the Venture Brothers, Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart. And this is the new, all new original animated movie for the Venture Brothers. It is an R-rated film, and it picks up after season 7. So there will be a screening and filmmakers and cast for a panel discussion and Q&A. So that's it for the room. And what are we thinking here? Is there anything that's gonna fill this room up?
I feel like if anything does, it would possibly be like Good Burger 2 or Masters of the Universe. But I don't think either of those, honestly, with 2,000 or so people, I don't think either of those are going to be that hard to get into. And again, these are the panels that, like, it'll all just depend what happens with SAG. Like, if Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell can't go to Good Burger anymore, like, hey, it's a walk-in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's going to fill up, and the room is big. So
Yeah.
if you're worried, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're beating, that other group of people who thought 10 minutes was good enough.
Yeah. The only thing that I did want to point out is for anybody who was a Teen Wolf fan, which both Sarah and I were, if you were interested in Holland Roden, I did note that the press release made a really big deal out of her being a producer. So I feel like even if the actors strike, they'll still be bringing her just as in a producer role. So.
Right.
Okay. All
my
right.
turn?
Shall we? It's your turn. Let's talk about Indigo Ballroom.
All right. It seats 2,663 people. And so it starts off at 11 a.m. with the 9th annual musical Anatomy of a Superhero, a film and TV composer panel, which I think we sat through one of these,
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and it was really cool. It's moderated by Michael Giacchino. It has Christoph Beck, a whole bunch of people. I'm not going to list them all. You guys can read it, but it's interesting. It's very cool. At 12:30 is the Felicia Day's Third Eye, an Audible original. And you will be able to hear the debut audio trailer. And it says that Third Eye is a love letter to the fantasy genre, studded with geek and gaming culture Easter eggs, featuring a cinematic 3D audio action scenes. I don't know what that is, but sounds cool. I love podcasts. I've never heard of 3D audio action scenes. So, okay. But, and it includes a full cast of performers like Neil Gaiman, Felicia Day, etc. But it doesn't say that they're going to necessarily. Do we know if they're going to be there? Felicia probably will be.
Yes, actually they will. Felicia Day, Sean
Yeah.
Astin, Jonah Ray, and there was somebody, London Hughes. That was the other one.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
They'll be there.
Yep. And then at 1:45 is behind the scenes with the cast of Jury Duty, which I'm so excited about. It's from Amazon Freevee. It chronicles the inner workings of an American jury trial through the eyes of one particular juror, Ronald Gladden, who doesn't know that everyone around him is actors. The whole thing is fake, but he thinks he's on a real jury. It's so good. You should watch it. So I think it says he'll be there, and the cat. Well, yeah,
It
I
says
think
the
he's
cast.
going to be there.
He-
The cast, yeah.
his name is bolded in like the
Yeah.
description, which means he'll be there. And,
And he's probably not in
he's-
SAG.
he's not in SAG.
Yeah.
So you can bring him.
But
Done.
I feel like this is going to be interesting just because it's such a interesting show. Like, and he's, I guess, from San Diego, so that's kind of cool. So then at 3 p.m. we have an inside look at Freeform's Cruel Summer season 2, and it says the stars and the creative team will take you behind the scenes of season 2 with an exclusive sneak peek of the rest of the season and conversations with stars Lexi Underwood, Sadie Stanley, and Griffin Gluck alongside the producers. But I don't know, that's another one of those. Is it pre-recorded or
The description makes
yeah.
me believe that it's written in a way that's like, this is one of the prime candidates for a pre-recorded panel.
A lot of
Yeah.
them, I think, are very vague. They've been very vague on how they
Yes.
word stuff. They're like, this is who's starring, but they don't necessarily say they'll be there. So
Yes.
we'll see. Anyway, so then up next at 4:15 is A24's Talk to Me, which is Danny and Michael.
Filippo.
I think it's
I'm not gonna
Filippo.
try and pronounce it, aka Raka Raka. And they talk about their stuff. You guys can read the description. So closing out the evening. Sorry,
It's a new
go ahead.
horror movie. It looks awesome.
Oh, okay, cool. Closing out the evening at 5:30 is Chasing Amy, How Fandom Inspires Creativity. And it's moderated by Chasing Amy director Kevin Smith. And if you've listened to this podcast at all this year, you already know about this. But
Yep.
and so that's it for Indigo. What do we think? I don't know anything about
So-
the room stuff. You guys are better at that.
So I don't think, I mean, maybe Jury Duty will like totally surprise us and be completely packed, but I don't
Yeah.
think any of these are going to be hard to get into. I think most of these, you can show up like 15 minutes early and be
Do you
just
think-
fine.
That it'll be busy in the evening for the Chasing Amy
It should be.
panel.
Because
Yeah,
again,
so I
both Kevin Smith and Felicia Day have a certain amount of
Yeah.
fans that will show up to everything
Mm-hmm.
they do. And, Kevin Smith can fill a pretty good chunk of Hall H. So
Yeah.
if any number of those fans are free at this time and want to go, then I think you may have an issue with that if you want to see that panel. And the same thing with the Felicia Day panel, since her name is in the title of the panel, a lot of more people may go to this one than one where she's not in the title of the panel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just keep an eye on things, get an idea of like first thing in the morning, if you have the time to run by the Indigo area to see what the line is like. If people are lining up early and it looks like it's going to be a problem, line up then. If
Yeah.
not, just wait until, again, 15, 20 minutes before the panel and get in. And I think it should be
And-
fine.
And if you watch Jury Duty, there is the chance that James Marsden could be there. I think they would have maybe mentioned his name if that was a possibility, if he was more, but maybe not. So that could be a surprise.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. He's
Okay,
a Comic-Con regular, probably, right? X-Men,
So real quick, I just want to talk about, like, again, we're just going to keep talking about the strike. So if the actors strike, the Audible panel should be totally fine. I think Jury Duty, at least Ronald should be there, which again, he's the only one bolded. So he makes the most sense because again, not SAG, surely. An inside look at Cruel Summer 2, like we said, that might be pre-recorded. Talk to Me does mention cast. And if the actors go on strike, like that cast is probably not going to be there. And then Chasing Amy should be totally fine because it's a documentary. So just something to keep in mind as you plan your schedule. Okay, let's do
And then-
Ballroom 20.
Yeah, we'll move on to Ballroom 20, our hometown. It's where Carrie and I always go. Seats 4,800 people, and we're starting the day a little later than normal. It's at 11 a.m. with the Max original animation. Isn't it usually 10 a.m.? Most years?
No, I feel like 11's pretty normal, actually.
Oh, maybe
I
not.
think it varies. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been, time means nothing when you're waiting in the Ballroom 20 line. So anyway, so this is the Max original animation panel. It features the series from the Adventure Time universe, a new series, Young Love, and a preview of the upcoming 4th season of Harley Quinn. And it's going to have exclusive sneak peeks, surprise panelists, and more. And it's moderated by Damian Holbrook. And then Carrie, I think you wanted to say something about this one.
Yeah, so I think we may have a good idea of who at least some of those surprise panelists will be, because Nick Walker, who has co-written an animated show for Max, he was Aaron Burr for a while on Broadway. He's co-written an animated show for Max with Alex Brightman, who was Beetlejuice on Broadway. And we know Nick Walker is going to be at Comic-Con, and I'm like, surely he means this panel. And again, if he's co-written a show with Alex Brightman, I feel like there's a real possibility that both of those folks could show up. I'm going to guess that their show has some musical numbers, might do a little performance or something. I feel like that is a strong possibility here. So for my Broadway people, I just wanted to mention that I think that's a real possibility here.
Cool. Yeah. So then next at 12:45 is Ghost from CBS and Paramount Plus. And it only says, please join us for a special Ghost presentation, which just screams pre-recorded to me. So
Yep.
We'll see, and maybe they'll do like a screener or something, but that doesn't seem great.
No.
So up next at 2 p.m. is Prime Video's The Wheel of Time, giving a sneak peek into the second season, in addition to revealing exclusive season 2 content, as well as other exciting surprises for attendees. So that sounds like swag to me. I feel like this might be a really good year for panel swag, because if they're not bringing a bunch of their stars, they might just be like, here, just give people some free shit. And then excuse me, I'm not supposed to swear, free stuff. And, that makes it up. Honestly, if I get something free, I'm cool about other people not being there.
So the interesting thing about the Wheel of Time is we think most of their actors are like I forget the name, but basically like the British Actors Guild instead, which we kind of thought might be like why they chose Wheel of Time and Good Omens, at least in part. But then with that Good Omens signing getting canceled today, which we'll talk about here in a second, maybe that's not a good sign.
I guess we'll see. Yeah. So then next after that at 3:15 is Twisted Metal, a new comedy series from Peacock. It's based on the classic PlayStation game series, and it's a 10-episode series starring Anthony Mackie, Stephanie Beatriz, Thomas Hayden Church, Will Arnett, and Joe Sonoya, and guest stars Nev Campbell. So it just lists the cast, but it doesn't say anything about them actually. I'm sure they're probably not going to be there, or who knows.
I would
Same-
bet that they show most of the first episode would be, yeah.
Yeah, because most of the comedy series are usually the half hour, so I could see it not being it'd be easy to display or show those. So then at 4:30 is just some regular human people for What We Do in the Shadows. And there will be a screening of a brand new episode, just like they did last year, and surprises. So hopefully some swag. They had some good swag last year.
They did, yeah.
And lastly, at 5:45 is Archer, the 14th and final season exclusive screening and Q&A, which you guessed it is an exclusive screening of the season opener and additional surprises.
Yeah, Disney has been
Yeah.
real vague here on purpose.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So, what do we think about room flow? I mean, I think room flow is going to depend entirely on if there's actors there or not.
Yeah,
And the thing is there's a very good chance they don't announce anything in advance, right?
Yep.
I mean, unless
Yep.
they really want to get some publicity out of it and, put out those press releases the week of when they finally know for sure, since we're going to know stuff about the strike in 5 days.
Yeah.
Maybe at that point is when they start making those, getting all those press releases out. But honestly, I don't know. What We Do in the Shadows might
mean,
fill this room.
I feel like that could, I don't know if it would fill it, but it's not even the first episode. It's like this, probably the second or third episode, or maybe the second, because I think it
but What
premieres
We Do in
on
the
July
Shadows
13th.
has
So
it has a lot of fans. Like,
Yeah.
I
well, they were
agree
in
that I
Hall H
think-
last year. So
Yeah. So let's actually talk about that. So what do we make of What We Do in the Shadows moving from Hall H on Sunday to Thursday?
I mean, it could mean one of two things. First is that they just didn't want to be on Sunday, and this was the option slot was to go to Ballroom 20. The second option is there is no Sunday in Hall H.
That's what I keep
Oh.
wondering. I'm like, with only like 3 panels a day, like in Hall H, like so far Thursday and Friday, like maybe there is no Hall H on Sunday. Or option B is like maybe they've given that FX time slot to some other stuff. Like they've got that, oh God, it used to be called, I think it's A Murder at the End of the World now. It used to have a different title. Maybe it goes to that or something else. So I'm super curious to see the Sunday Hall H schedule. But yeah, I mean, again, I think all of these are going to depend on if cast are there or not.
Yep.
The animation stuff should be pretty much okay for the first part. And then honestly, what I would suggest you do is, like, if you are really into Archer or What We Do in the Shadows, is like follow them on social media, keep an eye on their Instagram, on their Twitter, because a lot of times like they'll post updates there like during the con, and we don't necessarily catch those because hey, it's a little
Well,
bit crazy. at
and
that
I could
point.
see the Twisted Metal show. Pay attention to that, just because if there's any cast, depending on what happens with the strike, those are some big names.
Yep.
On that Twisted Metal show. So
Yep.
if they're there, that could be really cool.
It basically applies with Ballroom 20 is keep an eye on, I mean, this is one of the major rooms. So obviously there's going to be a lot of people posting updates, and we'll try and keep it updated as much as we can on Twitter. So just pay attention. If you're really worried, get there during the previous panel. Give yourself time, because again, if there is any line starting, they will hold the line and won't let in people, as a constant flow during the panel. You'll have to wait outside and be let in randomly. But you still should get in. I don't think it's going to be that full at any point during the show, but we do have to worry about it because some people may choose this that would normally be in Hall H. And so,
Yeah.
yes, this room may actually fill up more than normal than we consider a normal Thursday because of that. So definitely
And that,
keep an eye on things day of.
yeah, I think that's a great point. And again, I think What We Do in the Shadows is going to be the biggest and hardest one to get into, just because solely from Twitter, like that seems to be the one everyone's super excited for. But yeah, like if cast is going, I think for sure What We Do in the Shadows is going to be real hard to get into. I would probably show up like 2 panels before for that one. If there's no cast, I mean, maybe like 20 minutes before.
They
You
had
have to make sure you
like
have
half,
time to get a seat. Yeah.
yeah, and last year they had half the cast, and then a couple people zoomed in, so
Yeah.
that they could do something like that too. Well, do you think does zooming in go against like
I
any
think
strike
so.
stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
I
okay.
think they're like not allowed to basically
Yeah.
like, promote.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for writers. I mean, it's pens down. They can't do a thing. So, I mean, I don't think they can they even think about stuff?
Hey, you can't regulate thoughts, James. All right, let's move on to the last panel room of Thursday, which is Hall H. James.
All right, 6,500 seats in this room. The first panel is 11:30, Paramount Pictures, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. And it's a very long description. At least it doesn't say TBD or TBA. It's Paramount Pictures brings a panel discussion and footage presentation with filmmakers. At 1 p.m., we have Project K Inside India's history-making sci-fi epic. And this features an all-new cinematic universe out of India. It is three of India's biggest superstars, Kamal Hassan, Prabhas, and Deepika Padukone, along with director Nag Ashwin. They are going to unveil a glimpse into the future. And you're going to get to experience the convergence of global cinema superheroes as Project K marks the first time India takes the stage at Comic-Con. And what else is there going to be, Carrie?
There's going to be a performance. I know
A
that.
performance of some kind.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if that means like a dance or a song or what, but I mean, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So at 2:30, then we have Marvel's Spider-Man 2 Symbiotic Relationships, and this is for the video game from Insomniac Games. And it's going to be feature a bunch of the people who make the game, including voice actors like Yuri Lowenthal, Najee Jeter, Laura Bailey, and Tony Todd. So they're basically just going to show stuff and discuss the game. And that's it.
I will say, because I don't think any of us are huge video game people. Maybe it's just because I follow a bunch of Venom people, but I feel like everyone is like so freaking pumped for that Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that one actually might be the biggest panel of the day in here.
It might be, and I still don't think it'll fill the room.
No, I don't either.
But if everyone finds out they're giving something away that's really cool, people may show up. So yeah, I think the Turtles actually is going to get close to full if it doesn't fill up, because Turtles, of course, have been around forever. They are a genre mainstay at this point. I mean, I'd almost put them up in a franchise, with the other major franchises for how long they've been around and everything like Star Trek and Star Wars and all of those. They're just omnipresent now. So if it ends up where Seth Rogen and a bunch of other people are going to show up for this, then this panel will be pretty busy. So get there a little bit early, but there will be, I think, no need to spend the night for Hall H at all.
Totally agree. No.
So will it be a walk-in? That all depends on whether there's cast there and it's announced in advance. If it's not announced in advance, you'll be able to walk in. And I would want to say this Project K, I am intrigued by this. And this is the kind of thing that I would see on the schedule and be like, I want to see what's going to happen with this panel. Because, I mean, if you saw like RRR and stuff like that, I mean, you never know what's going to happen in one of these. So this performance, who knows what it's going to be? And I'd want to go just to find out. So maybe give it a chance. This is your chance. This is your chance to go to Hall H. Show up and see what happens.
Walk in, go see it. It should be fun. And because it's international, it should not be at all affected by the strikes. So I think that one could be really fun. I did want to address a couple of reader questions in the chat, if that's okay.
I have a bunch of them saved, so I'm going to put them all in the thing here, and then you can see which ones.
Perfect.
And right there.
Oh, we do have a whole bunch. Okay, let's answer a couple of reader questions real quick, and then we'll get to our dark horse picks. David Norwood asked what we do in the shadows as a signing, so maybe they're holding out hope for cast. Again, I mean, I don't think anything with cast is for sure. I mean, it can't be. The deadline is July 12th, so we'll know more on July 13th. So maybe you want to like hold on to your points until at least July 13th when you know if cast is coming or not. But it does look like, because they canceled the Good Omens signing today, it does look like if they cancel your signing, you at least get the points back. So that's nice. But yeah, I don't think anything's for sure. Everybody's just kind of holding hands and hoping for the best. Do you think the line for Hall H will be light on Wednesday night for Thursday panels? Again, we don't really think there even will be a reason to camp out. Cassandra asked, when panels list a group of people who will be there, but not specific people, how often do we get the list before the panel? It really just depends. Sometimes they update Sked, sometimes that will get updated. Sometimes they will tweet or put out a press release later that lists casts. Typically, if we get that, we try to make sure that we update. Again, I always think it's a good idea to follow like the specific show or movie that you're interested on social, because we do our best before the show, but really like by the time Wednesday hits, like we're done, kind of like watching the feeds. Because we're Comic-Con, we're doing other stuff. Trope 4 said, Magic the Gathering, where's our Lorcana panel, James?
We already knew, I think it was like 2 months ago, that Lorcana would not be at Comic-Con, so there will be no Lorcana panel.
Yeah. Dan said, do you guys think the Good Omens panel will be canceled? So we'll get into that when we talk about Friday. The signing was canceled. I really don't think the panel will be canceled, because here in a minute, again, when we talk about it, it sounds like it's mostly screening. So I don't think David and Michael will be there, but I think the panel will probably be okay. David Norwood said, could a reduced Hall H crowd make Ballroom 20 harder to get into? Absolutely. I think the floor is going to be terrible. And the offsite lines. Get excited. Because all those people have to go somewhere. Yep. And then Sylvia said, make sure you prep yourself a sunblock, as the line for the Indigo Ballroom tends to stretch out alongside the waterfront. Great tip. And then someone asked, how and where do you line up for Ballroom 20? We actually have a guide for where to line up on our site. I've been waiting for the Hall H Toucan tracker update to like really tweet it out, but maybe they're not even doing wristbands this year. Who knows?
Who knows? And then Team Art 64 asked just recently about, they said we're playing devil's advocate, but if SAG doesn't strike, will the actors still stay away in support of the striking writers, since Comic-Con does not pay the actors to appear like for-profit cons? And they don't, but the studios do, because they are under contract to promote their projects for the studios, and the studios are the one bringing the actors, not Comic-Con.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, don't they, in a way, like have to go sometimes if
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's
considered
part
a
of the
part of the
promotion,
promotion? Yeah.
For the contracts that they sign.
Yep. Okay, well, let's actually, before we get to our dark horse real quick, what do we think just overall of the schedule? What are your like overall impressions?
So I think that there is so much stuff to do and see. There is not anything major Hollywood, which is fine, unless that's the only reason you go to Comic-Con. Otherwise, there is a ton of stuff. It is not major Hollywood stuff, but there is plenty of Hollywood stuff. It may not feature cast, but there is and I went through this entire schedule. I read every single listing. It's what I do every year, just so I know what's happening. I may forget it all in 5 minutes, but I do read it all. And it took me, I think, well over an hour to read each day, just going through and kind of, getting, letting it soak in a little bit. Even reading it fast this morning when it was first out, it took me 45 minutes for just the Friday. So there is a ton of stuff. You can find things to see. It just matters. It's just not the big stuff anymore this year. I mean, at least on this day, we still might, on Friday, there's more stuff. But still, I think there's plenty.
For me, like Thursday does feel lighter in Ballroom 20, but that's just because we usually go and sit through the whole thing, and not everybody does that. And so Thursday is usually our day in there. And I mean, some people it might be, it's just not for us this year. So it's a little different, but it's still full, still tons of stuff.
I on like Wednesday night, I mean, for like a week now, I've been saying like this is the least amount of things beforehand that I felt like I knew was going to be on the schedule. Like Wednesday night, it was like I have literally no idea like what's going to be on the schedule tomorrow. It'll be a great surprise. And it actually was a surprise. Like I thoroughly enjoyed like opening up the schedule on Thursday and seeing like What We Do in the Shadows and Archer and all kinds of stuff, like way more TV panels than I thought. I mean, I knew again, it wasn't going to be like a normal year, but I still feel like they have packed as much as they possibly can. And I think there's some great panels here. And I mean, again, it's nobody's fault. Like this, well, it's kind of the studio's fault, but
Yeah.
It's somebody's fault.
it is somebody's fault, but it's not Comic-Con's fault.
Right.
And like,
No.
it's not the TV show's fault. It's not, and it's nobody like deciding like Comic-Con is dead. Again, it's the strikes. That's the only reason that like the panel schedule is a little bit lighter.
So I have a question as someone who doesn't know as much about this stuff. If everything gets wrapped up before, can they add panels? I mean, obviously the schedule is set. I don't know if they have room other than maybe at the end or beginning, but do you think if everything got wrapped up and it's good to go, we would see any additions of like bigger shows or things?
Absolutely. There's like Hall H, there's the Spider-Man panel is at 2:30 and then it's empty after that. So
Oh,
they
wow.
obviously
Yeah.
can fit in one or two more panels if they wanted in Hall H.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
just on Thursday alone, they could add
Yeah.
some panels.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I totally agree. And I mean, we have had like late additions before. So I don't think that's totally off the table. Again, I mean, it's the timing sucks for us Comic-Con attendees, but it is what
Shrug.
it is.
It's a shruggy year.
It is what it is. And again, I think this is a really good schedule. So
And this is the year to try new things, right? Do something
Yeah.
different.
yeah, Sarah and I were just talking before the show. Like we had like our most different convention last year. Like it was chill. We went back and took naps twice, 3 times.
Amazing.
It was just great. It was the best Comic-Con we'd ever had. We were like, why have we not been doing this for years? Like, let's just relax.
I may brave
Um,
the show floor for more than 10 minutes at a time,
Mhm.
even though it's
Wow.
going to be,
It's-
so crowded.
We're
That's
gonna
what I
need
was
this-
about to say.
You're gonna need the time on the show floor this year because you're gonna just be inching along.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yep, I know. But yeah, it's a really good year. Okay, so let's talk about our dark horses, and I think we should let Sarah go first.
Okay. So I actually realized later, I don't know if I'm allowed to use this one because it's in one of the
You can.
medium rooms, but it's the Klingon Lifestyles presentation. Let me pull up what it's on, whatever. You can look it up, but it's in room 60E, 7 p.m. on Thursday night. I watched this on accident, my very first Comic-Con, because I was sitting through for something else and I was in like the front row. I still have this weird memory of it. I had no idea what it was. I don't even remember looking at the schedule that year. It was the weirdest Comic-Con. And it was just like this live action show. And there was like Klingon sword fights and they were in the full cosplay and music. And it was amazing. It's so fun. So don't look up more. I won't tell you any more about it, but just if you can never see it, I haven't been back since because now I like know to look at the schedule. So, but someday I would love to see it again. It's wild and it was really fun, but it maybe it sucks. I don't know, but it was wild because I had no idea what was happening and I didn't know what to expect. So, but I think it's fun. So that's my main one. And my second one, which is more of just a smaller panel, is building the DC universe on Webtoon, which Webtoon is a small app for, I don't know if it's small, but it's an app for comics. And there's some really cool DC comics on there, specifically like Batman, the Wayne Family Adventures, and the Red Hood and the Outlaws. I love those. So I think that'd be an interesting panel to see. It's at in room 4 on Thursday at 10:30 a.m.
James, do you want to do yours?
Yes, I picked only 2, and you guys who are longtime listeners know I sometimes pick like 28 panels for my dark horse or something like that. But no, I only got 2 this time. The first one is on Thursday at 5 p.m. in room 25 ABC, and it is Doom Guy, the man, the myth, the legend. And this is going to be John Romero, who is the guy behind the first-person shooter, basically Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein 3D, and he's going to share stories about his life in video games. So I thought that was pretty cool that, a longtime video game creator is going to come by and share some stories of how video games got started into the formats they are today. And then at 8 p.m. in Grand 12 and 13 in the Marriott Marquis over in the hotel is 81 years of superhero cereal boxes. I mean, this is one of those panels that I just love at Comic-Con because it is so random. And the description is pretty funny because this is a late night cereal box breakfast with 3 cerealologists. They're going to take you on a sugary cereal box tour, starting with the first 1942 Superman box to one of the coolest boxes ever made in 2022. And it's just like basically 3 guys who love cereal boxes talking about cereal boxes, including Mike Becker, who you may know as the founder of Funko.
How does one
Wasn't
become
there-
a cerealologist? I would like that job.
Cerealologist.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
And
Wasn't there someone
Mikhail-
else on that panel? though,
Mikhail
who had, like-
Vollmer, an artist, and also the moderator is Dwayne Demock, who I love his description of the things that he's accomplished in life, including engineer, which solid, artist, okay, cool, nude model, and has 10,000 cereal boxes. Well done. Yeah,
What's
I-
his
That
name
is-
again?
yeah.
Let's look him up.
I Googled him. There's not much.
Is there a nude picture of him in front of the cereal box?
There is not. I did not see one. So basically,
Let's-
for those people who
on.
scour
Come
the
on,
schedule
man.
and see this, people, this panel may be packed. I know it's at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, but it's over
sounds
in the Marriott
fun.
Marquis,
I
and
think that's fun. Yeah.
it probably only holds a couple of hundred people. So be aware if you want to attend this. I think it's just going to be them chatting about stuff. I mean, it's not going to be like, hey, we're handing out free Funkos. There is going to be none of that. This is just people talking about their cereal boxes who
They-
love them, just like you expect people to talk about their ball jointed dolls. Or
They might throw
they're-
cereal at you.
They might.
Well.
Are these
and
vintage
with-
boxes though?
I think
Or
there's a
so
lot
maybe
of
it's
stuff.
stale cereal.
Yeah.
I feel like as well with Mike Becker like being on that panel, like I feel like some of the fanatics like might show up as well.
Yes.
So
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah.
If you're not a cereal fan, don't show up. I mean, come on. This is for cereal
Let the
fans.
real cereal
Don't-
fans.
Let
get
the
it.
real
ruin
cereal
it
fans,
for
if
the
you're just a
true
Funko fan,
cereal fans.
If you don't care about cereal, do not show up. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
I got my
Amazing.
one. Yeah. There you
You
go.
got your 2. I did want to point out that Cassandra in the chat said SDCC is dead because James only has 2 dark horses.
That's the true sign. That's the
I
true
was-
sign.
Okay, look, I put like 4 or 5 panels on my possibles list, but I pared it down. I was like, I'm going to be good this year. And then now we have Carrie.
It was not good. Not good
It's
at all.
not.
No, I have failed here. So I'm gonna start with Tegan and Sarah Talk Junior High, which is exactly what it sounds like. The indie pop duo of Tegan and Sarah are coming to Comic-Con to talk about their graphic novel, which I just think it's cool that Tegan and Sarah are going to Comic-Con. That is at 1 p.m. in room 29 AB. And then horror manga icon Junji Ito will be at a panel at the library, which doesn't get as much love as it probably should, at 11 a.m. So you can head over there, and I'm sure that will be fun. And then I wanted to point out again, it is important to read these panel descriptions because you never know. At 3 p.m. is something called Ultra Duck Unleashed. And I don't even know what the heck Ultra Duck is, but what it does have is Danny Trejo on it. And that is at 3 p.m. in room 32 AB. And then finally, I wanted to mention visual storytelling and cosplay photography. I know we have a lot of cosplay followers. That's at 1 p.m. in Marriott Grand 10 and 11. They've got some fun photographers, including Pat Loika. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Pat, but he's been a great reader for many years. So that's it. I kept mine short.
Nice.
I'll
Yeah.
say here's a tip for if you don't want to read all of the descriptions, because I certainly can't do it. If there's anything or certain people I'm into, I just search their name or search the property and it'll pull up if it's in there. So that's an easy way of finding
Yes.
to see if there's
Yep.
somebody, obviously you still might miss something that you might not think of, but
Yeah.
And to answer
Okay,
a quick
so-
question from Steel-O Gaming, when does the Comic-Con app open up?
After the official schedule is fully out, they never post it before then.
Yeah, so sometime next week probably is when it'll come out.
Yeah.
But it may show up not until a few days before. We don't know. But definitely not until after this weekend.
No.
Okay, that's Thursday.
Woo.
Moving on to Friday. All right. Here we go. Room 7AB, again, seats 480, starts at 10 a.m. on Friday. First panel, Star Wars Musical Universe with Lucasfilm and EA Games. And this is going to be talking about the music from Star Wars Jedi Survivor with a couple of the co-composers and people from Respawn and EA and Lucasfilm, I think. And then at 11 a.m., we have Lucasfilm Limited high-end Star Wars collectibles. And this is Brian Merten from Lucasfilm talking about the worlds of Star Wars and Indiana Jones and the high-end collectibles you can get. And now you may be noticing a theme with this room on this day, because next up at noon, Star Wars Memories. And this is Craig Miller, Lucasfilm's original director of fan relations, giving a slideshow and talking about all of the stuff that he did for Star Wars and the things he saw back when Star Wars first started as the guy who ran the fan club in the very beginning. And then at 1 p.m., we have Lucasfilm Publishing, Stories from a Galaxy Far, Far Away. And this is a bunch of authors from the High Republic to the Age of Rebellion to the Rise of the First Order. And it's talking to a bunch of those authors, discussing all the stories and what's coming up from Lucasfilm Publishing. 2 p.m. is the Hasbro Star Wars panel. And this is people from Hasbro talking about all of the Star Wars toys that are coming out sometime soon. At 3 p.m., Star Wars Trading Card Collecting. And this is some people that collect trading cards and who are artists like William O'Neill, who talk about collecting vintage Star Wars trading cards and all of those kind of things. At 4 p.m., we have Star Wars Past, Present, and Future. And this one features some actors from across the Star Wars universe, like Spencer Wilding and Leilani Shu, as well as people who worked on things like Bruce Logan, a cinematographer for Tron and A New Hope, and randomly Gigi Edgley from Farscape, and voice actress Julie Dolan, and a bunch of people talking about favorite moments from Star Wars and just a random stuff, like a basic Star Wars universe panel. And then at 5 p.m., we have Star Wars Fandom in the Immersive Frontier, Galaxy's Edge, Galactic Star Cruiser, and beyond. And this is a group of people talking about the stories within the Star Wars universe that happen at places like Galaxy's Edge and the Star Cruiser. And then at 6 p.m., we have the 501st Legion Star Wars Villainous Costuming. And this is 501st Legion members who are talking about making costumes. At 7 p.m., we have Star Wars Andor, Making a Rebel, Making a Rebellion. And this is an investigation, an examination of Andor and what it means to be a rebel and all those kind of things. And it's basically a bunch of panelists from like San Diego State and biologists and psychologists and all those kind of people talking about Andor. And then at 8 p.m., Star Wars Trivia Challenge strikes back. And this is basically just some teams competing in rounds of Star Wars trivia from movies and TV. And if you want to check it out, go check it out. And that is it.
I sense a theme.
Yes, I think it may be Star Wars Day in room 7AD on Friday.
Just maybe. So what do we think for room flow, since it is all Star Wars all day long?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe some of the ones that feature like the Hasbro stuff, because people want to find out what's coming out. Things like that. Those may fill up because, again, the room only seats 500, just under 500. So if you're worried, I mean, it's all Star Wars. So if you have to get there early, you're going to sit through more Star Wars. And if you're a Star Wars fan, I don't think that really matters too much. So sit down there for a few panels to see what you want. But I think the Hasbro one, and honestly, I'm really interested in the past, present, future panel, because that has such a wide range of people on it to talk about Star Wars in general, which I think is fairly interesting. And then the Andor panel, since Andor was such a good show, I think there's a lot to delve into and dig deep into what's happening in that show if you're interested in that kind of thing. But I don't know if any panel is going to be super full, but I would definitely say that if you're worried about it, get there a little bit early in the panel before and watch some other Star Wars.
Yep. I agree with all that. Okay, so let's move on to room 6DE, which again holds about 884 people. And for that panel, things kick off at 10 a.m. with Welcome to the Itoverse with Junji Ito, where he will just be discussing whatever he wants, basically. At 11:15 is Writer's Block, which has several creatives talking about how they get their creative inspiration. At 12:30
I think that Kim Joy is from the Great British Bake Off. So I don't. That's just. I was excited. Like I know who that is. I was like, oh wait, I know her.
Yes, she is.
I think that's who that is. Yeah.
Good
job.
I
didn't put that on there.
I was wondering where I knew that name from.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I just saw like the book title, like "Bake Me a Cat" earlier, and I was like, "That's a weird name."
She just
but
makes
yeah,
the
I
really
think you're
cute-
right.
I'm gonna double check if I think that's her.
You're right.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
who
you're right.
else is Kim Joy?
At 12:30 is Dawn of DC, which is where DC will be talking about everything about Dawn of DC with a bunch of folks like Ram V, Joshua Williamson, Nicola Scott, Joanne Starr, Josh Trulio, and Tom Taylor. So a whole bunch of talented folks talking about what they've been working on. At 1:45 is more Dawns of DC, this one specifically about Night Terrors. And they will have Joshua Williamson with Jeremy Adams and Dennis Culver. At 3 p.m. is Marvel Heroes, Hulks, and Super Soldiers. And Marvel Editor-in-Chief C.B. Cebulski will be joined by J. Michael Straczynski to talk about Captain America, David Papose's Moon Knight, and Philip Kennedy Johnson for his Hulk run. At 4:15, C.B. Cebulski is back to talk to Joe Quesada just about Marvel, basically. And then at 5:30 is Fans Who Became Fandom. And this one, I think, is run by Legion M, but it does not say who will be on the panel. But it's basically about people who were fans and then became like people who other people are fans of. At 6:45 is Zombie Love Studios, Blood in Four Colors, a new era of horror in comics. I like that title. Where Rodney Barnes will be talking about Philadelphia and more with his creative partner, Jason Alexander, or with at Image Comics. At 8 p.m. is New Rock Stars on YouTube, which has a couple of YouTube folks talking about being nerdy on YouTube, I guess. And then at 9:15 is the Dr. Horrible screening, which happens every year, but they're changing it up a little bit this year. And this year they will have karaoke, and you can sign up for a spot to sing the karaoke, which I think is interesting.
Yes, and you can do that
I'm
at the
sure-
California Browncoats booth during the
Yes.
exhibit floor hours, or you have to get there early and sign up outside the room. Sounds like.
So let's talk room flow. I mean, I think the comic stuff might be your biggest problem, but I don't think any of this is going to be super hard to get into. Would you agree with that?
I don't know how popular Junji Ito is, but he is a
I think pretty
longtime creator.
popular.
So he's
Yeah.
and that's nice that he's the first panel, because then a bunch of his fans can come in, wait however long they want to before the panel to see it. If they're really worried about it, get there early, get in, see the panel, and then they can head on about their day. If they're not fans of everything else in the room, then other people can come into that room and everybody wins. It's interesting that we have a couple of DC panels and then a couple of Marvel panels, because usually they put them all in a row for each brand. So I guess
The chat seems to very much agree that Junji Ito is very popular.
Yeah.
If you for sure want to see Junji Ito, honestly, I might even like make the trek over to the library, because I feel like less people are going to do that. It is further.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like way less people are going to venture over to the library.
right.
And
Yes.
reminder, for the stuff that's further, you can Uber or Lyft. We do it all the time because we don't want
We don't
that
walk.
far
We
unless
don't
unless we're literally not allowed to take an Uber through the floor. Okay. We don't.
But yes, he is doing a panel on Thursday. I think it is in the library. And so if you're interested in seeing him, that is an option to see him. And of course, this panel, if you want to, I mean, just get there early, get there. This panel, when is this panel? It's at 10 when,
It's at 10. Yeah.
so the con will already have been open for at least half an hour on the show floor. I mean, just get out there and wait in that everything else line, at whenever you feel like is early enough for it. Because if it's only 884 people in this room and you think it's going to fill up, spend a few hours, 2 hours, whatever of your time. There's nothing else to do in the morning unless you're going to the show floor or something else. So you might as well spend the time, go get some breakfast and head on over there at 8 a.m. Something like that. Beat all those other people who think they only have to get there at 9:30.
Yep.
And you'll be fine.
Yep.
But I
And
don't-
I'll even give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. There's going to be a Junji Ito gallery show. I just don't have the information for the public part yet. So,
Oh,
woo.
nice. So, I mean, of course, this is Marvel and DC with some of their big names like Straczynski and Joe Quesada and all that. And the DCs have, again, the two Toms and some other creators. So, I mean, just judge it based on how popular you think that panel is going to be and get there earlier if you need to. Otherwise,
Yep.
show up 15, 20 minutes before and you'll be fine.
Okay. Shall we talk about 6A?
Yep. 6A seats 1,040 people. And we're going to start off the day at 10:30 with a spotlight on Todd McFarlane. So the Spawn and Venom creator is going to offer fans sneak peeks into the future of his upcoming toys and what's ahead in the Spawn universe, as well as all the exciting developments on the horizon. And then continued right into 11:45 is the McFarlane toy multiverse, where you're going to get an exclusive first look at all of the latest and greatest toys and collectibles from McFarlane Toys and Todd McFarlane himself. And plus, the team will have a few surprises and giveaways. So that might be cool. And then at 1 p.m. is Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis is there to promote Mother Nature, a candid discussion of her all new graphic novel and movie. So, I mean, I don't know if she's ever been at Comic-Con. I mean, maybe, but not like. And it says that Mother Nature just debuts exclusively at SDCC too. So that's cool.
Did she go for Halloween?
I don't know.
She
Yes.
might have.
She did.
Oh,
She went for
okay. So
something.
she might
She's
be
been there
in,
before.
but still, it's Jamie Lee Curtis. She's amazing. So, and then after that is at 2:15 is the Weta Workshop celebrating 20 years of Middle Earth. The Weta Workshop presents a 20-year perspective on creating the imaginary worlds of Lord of the Rings, and it will have a lot of the creatives and some of the crew to take a look at the behind the scenes of the 20th anniversary year. And it says there may be surprise return to the stage for a fan favorite. I don't know what that means, but cool. And then after that is the McElroy family, a Q&A with the first family of podcasting at 3:30. It's Clint, Justin, Travis, and Griffin McElroy, best known for hosting arguably too many podcasts. Their words, not mine. I don't know, but I know my friends like them, so cool.
Yeah, they're very popular.
Yeah. And at 4:45 is Nostalgia Rebooted, how Nacelle uses the past to power their future. This one's
So these are the
Yeah.
folks who do like oh God, what is it, James?
Oh.
TV shows that made us, those ones.
Yes,
I wondered
like
if that's
the
what
TV
that
shows
was.
that made us, the toys that made us, all those. These are the folks
'Cause
who
they-
do all that.
They talked about documentaries, but they don't say those specific ones. I don't know why, but I thought that. But it one thing that's really cool is it says they're offering attendees a once in a lifetime exclusive opportunity to have their voices recorded and included in Nacelle's upcoming RoboForce animated series. And also one lucky attendee will win a voiceover role on one of their upcoming animated series. So if you're into voiceover, go to that. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
It's a great
yeah.
opportunity.
I
Go ahead.
was going to point out real quick in the chat, several folks are pointing out that Sean Astin is at the convention.
Yeah,
So
I
Oh,
he might
well,
be-
that makes sense.
I was going to mention
Okay.
that too. So I'm guessing it's Sean Astin. Yeah.
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 I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. I guess they maybe can't announce it, but why wouldn't you just announce
It's more fun if it's a surprise.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. So at 6 p.m. is Jim Lee and Friends, and it's just Jim Lee and Friends talking about their stuff, you know. And at 7:15 is the Hillywood Show presentation. And it's Hillywood
are-
parodies.
Yeah, they do parodies. They just did one for Good Omens.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, this is not my
It's-
thing.
I've
but
never heard of it, but
they have a
good for
lot
you.
of fans.
Yeah.
So
at 10 p.m. this is not an Invincible season 2 special screening.
That's the way to tell people what
Well,
it is. Now,
that
go
is-
away.
Yep.
This is not a screening.
Not what's happening.
There is no description either, which is hilarious.
Get out of here.
I think it's
That's it.
brilliant.
I like
I
it.
think it's brilliant.
I feel like the room flow, I don't know room flow stuff, but like because of Jamie Lee Curtis and then potentially Sean Astin, Lord of the Rings, that could be
Honestly, this
Good.
is the worst room so far on the schedule. It's going to be
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. Not again, like schedule wise, it's freaking amazing.
Yes,
Like,
that's the
room capacity.
problem is the schedule
Yeah.
is amazing and there's so many people. First of all, you have one of the largest comic creators in the world with Todd McFarlane. He has a massive
Mhm.
fan base because he has done so many things. Doesn't matter how you feel about him, he's got a lot of fans. He's owns a company that creates so many toys that tons of people collect, in addition to being an artist and creator and all of those kind of things. So he has a large range of fans, and he's got 2 panels in a row.
Do you think his will clear out though? Because there is a gap between, well, not really, actually, not much of a gap.
Honestly, I think that there will be enough Jamie Lee Curtis fans that I would say well over half of his panel may be Jamie Lee Curtis fans sitting through, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to see Jamie Lee Curtis,
Yeah.
you need to sit through the McFarlane panels,
Agreed.
because there will be way too many people showing up an hour or so before hoping to get in.
Yep.
And if you're not there before them, I don't think you're getting in.
Yeah. This should absolutely not be in this room.
No.
No.
And then immediately after that, I mean, yeah, it probably will clear out then. And then it will just fill up again because the Weta Workshop panel is pretty cool because, I mean, they're bringing, it's going to be the boss man, Richard Taylor, who I saw on panels back when Lord of the Rings was out. So that's going to be pretty cool that they're bringing all those people and the special guests, which, I mean, even if we know it's Sean Astin, that's still a cool thing. And it's going to be a chance to see Sean Astin along, talking about the days of filming Lord of the Rings, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then McElroy family is popular. And then Nacelle is fairly popular, but I think this one is going to be like that buffer panel between them and Jim Lee because Jim Lee's super popular.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got all these people where you have a little bit of a chance to sit through a panel to get to that one a couple of times, but that Jamie Lee Curtis panel is going to be the killer of the day. And you're going to want to get there before McFarlane, his 2 panels, to get in for Jamie Lee Curtis to guarantee you're in.
The good news, though, is I do feel like, at least after Jamie Lee Curtis, I feel like several folks will probably leave.
Yeah.
So that should at least help, like, if you want to go see Weta or any of the ones after that. But
And
yeah,
Jim Lee's
like,
doing another panel. So, if you have a choice, you probably would want to go see the other panel because it may be a little slightly easier to deal with.
Yeah. And then let's talk about that screening. I mean, I think it will be fairly well attended. I mean, honestly, I think it being at 10 p.m. is almost helpful. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like everybody is like, okay, I get to like go eat, I get to go recharge, and then I can come back and watch this thing that's totally not a screening. Yeah.
And as you'll find out on one of the panels coming up, there's going to be people from the show, most likely. So they may show up at the screening as well.
Yep.
That's probably why there's nothing listed, because they didn't want to say anything about, no one's going to be here, or it's just a screening. Who knows?
It's not a screening, James. There's
Oh,
no
right.
screening.
There is no screening.
There is no screening. Okay, well, James, you get to go now for 6 BCF.
6 BCF seats 2160. Starts at 10:15 with Creating the Expanse, a Telltale series. And this is for the Telltale Games Expanse universe game that they are creating. And it's going to feature, looks like they're going to have possibly some cast members there. It says surprise special guest and things like that. So at 11:30, we have Silent Hill, Ascension, and Gen Vid slate reveal. And this is all about the Silent Hill Ascension game and other things that they're going to be revealing. And again, a very special panelist. Again, people are just aren't announcing anybody this year. They're just saying very special panelist or special guest or whatever for this one. And then at 12:45, we have Making Immortals of Avium. And again, I think this is another game. So again, I think we have the theme for this game, or for this panel room for this day, is it's all about video games. And they're going to be talking about the Immortals of Avium game. At 2 p.m., we have Titans of Fighting, the Evolution of Fighting Games. And this features the director of the original Tekken game, Katsuhiro Harada. And he will be talking about the evolution of fighting games and all of that kind of cool stuff. And then at 3:15, we have Resetting Mortal Kombat, a new beginning with Mortal Kombat 1. And this is the new upcoming Mortal Kombat 1, the newest iteration of the video game franchise from NetherRealm. And they're going to have a bunch of the people there who are doing the work on it, including Ed Boon from the studios and co-creator of Mortal Kombat, the story director, art development director, and some actors like Vincent Rodriguez III, Kelly Hu, Yuri Lowenthal, and more. So this looks like it's pretty cool. And then at 4:30, the aforementioned Invincible panel. It's the Invincible 20th anniversary panel featuring the people who created the comic book, like Robert Kirkman, Cory Walker, Ryan Ottley, as well as people from Skybound. And then at 5:45, we have a conversation with the cast and crew of Prime Video's Invincible. With now, I'm guessing, yes, Robert Kirkman and the cast and crew as they talk about the upcoming season. And this one lists a bunch of people, but we don't know if they're actually going to be there because even though it's animation, they still are in SAG, correct?
mean, we think so. I don't feel like we've gotten a super great answer about that. We asked Eric about that 2 nights ago, because if you notice, I feel like 80% of the movie and TV panels that are coming are animated. And we know on the writer's side, that's the Animation Guild, not the WGA, but we're less certain on the voice actor side.
So everybody they list, which is a lot of people, is just, it's not bolded and it just says it's starring them. So it's not an announcement that any of them will be there.
Yep.
So, we don't know. It's possible, but we don't know. 7 p.m. we have the Sharknado 10th anniversary panel. And it's the creators are the Asylum folks. And it's going to include the stars, Ian Ziering, Tara Reid, Cassie Skirbo, and the director, Anthony Ferrante, as well as other surprise panelists. And they're going to talk about releasing it on a 4K version with never before seen kills and thrills, as well as a live performance of the Sharknado theme song.
I had no idea there was a Sharknado theme song until I read this panel description earlier.
Me either. Attendees will have a chance to win exclusive prizes. And this last line is amazing because, oh, and yes, there will be a special announcement about Meth Gator. That's Asylum for you, man. Hey, wait, someone made a movie called Cocaine Bear. What can we come up with? Let's see. Let's make Meth Gator. There you go. Sold.
Perfect.
Here's $10. Go make it.
Done.
Perfect.
Done.
It's going to be a huge hit.
And then at
Absolutely.
8:15, we have Sandland world premiere screening from the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, comes his latest animated movie, making its world premiere at Comic-Con. So this is from Shusha, the publisher, Bandai Namco Filmworks, and Toho. And they will be welcome Toshihisa Yokishima, the director of Sandland, to discuss behind the scenes footage. Okay. There's a lot going on.
What do we think?
There's a
There
lot
is.
going on. All I can focus on is Meth Gator, though. So
Okay, so this room holds a little over 2,000.
yes. So I think for the most part, the first half of the days, you're fine. There will be no
Yep.
problems. It may start getting a little crowded with Mortal Kombat because Mortal Kombat is big time. And right before that, the guy who, the game director of the original Tekken, I think that's a big deal too, in the video game world. But I don't know if it's 2,000 big deal to fill up the room. So again, keep an eye on social media for this room. Mortal Kombat's got some people that you have heard of. So maybe it may fill up a little bit, but then we have the Invincible stuff. And I know Invincible is fairly popular because it's Robert Kirkman and it's the Walking Dead connection and all this kind of stuff.
And
the show is going really well.
And there's not much going on in Hall H. So those kids are going to go somewhere,
Yes. And then, of course, we have no idea how popular Sharknado is. I mean, honestly, will like 5,000 people show up because there's nothing else to do at 7:00 when the show floor closes? Will 10,000 people show up? We don't know. They may see, I get to go hear a live rendition of the theme song and be like, you know what, sold, let's go. We just don't know.
We know 10,000 people are not going to show up for Sharknado.
I
Oh my
broke
God.
Carrie.
Look at how hard she's laughing.
Just the idea of like 10,000 people showing up for Sharknado. No, it's not going to happen. There is a lot we don't know, but we know that.
All right, fine.
Prove Carrie wrong. Everyone go to Sharknado.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, and then the Sandland screening, I'm not sure because it's the creator of Dragon Ball and it's going to have some support from Bandai and all that, so I don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, it's basically just like a screening and then some behind the scenes stuff. So who knows if that's going to fill up because it's it's a little bit later. It's at 8:15, so we'll see.
We will see. We
All right.
will see. All right. So let's talk about the Indigo Ballroom. And things kick off here at 10 a.m. with Tiny Toons University, which is the new rebooted Tiny Toons, basically. You will get to see sneak peeks as well as a screening of the premiere episode. This one, it says cast and crew, but again, that's super vague. And then at 11, there's My Adventures with Superman. And I mean, we have to assume that if they can bring cast, they are going to bring cast because they said there's a signing for it. So somebody is going to be there if they're planning a signing. At 12 p.m. is Teenage Euthanasia, where you will get an exclusive look at the new season. 1 p.m. is Metal Apocalypse, Army of the Doomstar, which is an Adult Swim series. You'll get to preview some clips from the film and discuss the new soundtrack with Death Album 4. At 2 p.m. is Rick and Morty, the 10th anniversary. You'll get a first look at the upcoming 7th season. It does say cast and crew, but again, super vague. 3 p.m. is Solar Opposites, which again, super vague. 4 p.m. is The Great North, super vague. 5 p.m. is Bob's Burgers. Not a whole lot to go off there. And then we end the day at 8 p.m. with the annual Will Eisner Awards. So again, I think it's all going to depend on SAG. Like almost all of these had signings added to the portal, which means that like if they can bring actors, I am very certain that they will. If they can't, go ahead.
If they're a voice actor, but they're also in SAG, they still can't, if it's for an animated show, even if they're promoting something for the other union, if they're a member of SAG as well, can they still go?
Well, that's what we've been trying to figure out. I don't know the answer to like if animation voice actors like are part of SAG-AFTRA and if their contract is with the AMPTP. I don't know the answer to that. Mm-hmm. We've been trying to figure it out. Again, I know with writers for animation, that is not part of the WGA. That's the Animation Guild. For how it works for the voice actors, I am less certain because I know that I've got a friend in SAG who was watching this and she texted me the other night and she was like, yeah, like most voice actors are in SAG. And I was like, okay. But again, it does feel like almost every freaking panel that's coming is animation. So it feels like there's got to be something to that, like maybe they're a little bit more safe. But I do not know the answer, but I do think that like if they can bring cast, they for sure will. If they can't, I think hopefully most of these folks have a backup plan. The good thing about animation is they make these like so far in advance. At the very least, they should have plenty of footage to show you. So I feel like most of these are at least safe from not being canceled. It just, again, we'll have to find out like next week whether the actors are striking or not. So.
Yep. And Bob's Burgers and Rick and Morty and some of these others are very popular and they do fill up.
Yes.
And even in Ballroom 20 where they seat almost 3,000? 2,600.
Yeah.
It still gets very full.
So again, it all depends on if there's cast. But if there's cast, Rick and Morty is going to be huge. Bob's Burgers is going to be huge. Those are going to be the two biggest panels of the day. For both of those, I would plan on showing up at least 2 panels before. Like, honestly, if you went in for Bob's, I would get in there for like Rick and Morty in case like some of those folks leave. And for Rick and Morty, like I would probably get there like, I don't even know, like Teenage Euthanasia or My Adventures with Superman. Both of those are always huge panels. There's always a huge line to get in. So get there early. And then, just sit through some other panels.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Okay. And on to Ballroom 20,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So at 10:45, we have the 23rd annual animation show of shows. Ron Diamond will present the exclusive premiere of the annual collection of incredible animated shorts. I do think, didn't we see some of these one year? I feel like I've seen some of these, and they were it was really cool. It was one of those like I didn't expect, I didn't know what it was, and they're just,
We saw it in-
amazing shorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at 12:30 is the Good Omens, the Ineffable season 2. I'm definitely not going to this panel. I won't be there with Carrie at all.
The same way that there's not an Invincible
Yeah.
screening.
So, so get a sneak peek of season 2 of Good Omens featuring best friends, Aziraphale and Crawley. And then you think it'll be a screening if we don't get cast, probably, or
Yeah, I mean, the way that
That's
I
all it
read
really
this
says.
is, is very much like that it will be a screening, and the entire season drops on July 28th, which is like just days after the convention. So
Yeah.
I think like there's no reason not to just basically air
makes
the
sense
first
to the
episode.
first episode, right? At 1:15 is Audience is King, featuring comedian TJ Miller and John Hader and others to discuss the future of franchise creation, where fans and creators collaborate in new ways, leveraging Web3, AI technology, and dynamic gameplay. So I thought that was interesting. This could be an interesting one if you're into tech. At 3 p.m. is Peacock's The Continental from the world of John Wick. It says cast and executive producers will take an exclusive first look at the series. So maybe a pre-recorded presentation because they mentioned cast. I guess we'll see.
Could be.
And at 4:15 is Gen V. It's from the world of The Boys. It's Prime Video reveals its highly anticipated new series with members of the cast who will talk about the upcoming college spinoff for the first time. So
I will say, I think it's very weird that Amazon had a screening or had a signing for every freaking one of their shows that they're bringing so far, except for this one. I find that very odd.
yeah. We'll see. And then at 9 p.m. is Justice League War World. It's be among the first to see the Warner Brothers animation all new feature length film Justice League War World. It's a premiere screening, and so this is interesting because it says in addition to the screening, filmmakers and key cast members will hold a panel discussion and audience Q&A. This has some big names on it: Jensen Ackles, Stan Akadic, Matt Bomer, Frank Grillo, Troy Baker, and more. So if there's that cast is actually there, that's some big names for Comic-Con, I think.
It for sure is. Yeah. So Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, maybe that's not even what they're called anymore. I don't know.
Warner Brothers Animation is what it says
Okay.
on there. But
Okay. Warner Brothers Animation. They bring a world premiere screening to Comic-Con, to Ballroom 20 every year. And yeah, they always bring like some really good names. It's always a really good time. And I'm sure-
Normally, it's
Normally,
like 6 or 7 o'clock, and then they replay it later. But this is an R-rated film, and so it only gets the one screening at 9 p.m.
Yep.
So room flow. This room will flow.
This room will flow. So I mean, I think Good Omens will be very well attended. I think the Continental will be pretty well attended. I think Gen V definitely will be well attended. And then, yeah. So if you wanted in for Good Omens, honestly, like I would just get there at the start of the day, but not too early because I want a good seat.
after Carrie and I get there.
Yeah, good line after me. That's fine. For the Continental, I would probably be there like as Good Omens is getting out. For Gen V, I don't even know. What time would you get in there, James?
For Gen V?
Yeah.
I'd get there. I'd say I'd sit through Continental. So I'd get there sometime like the end of the Audience's King panel.
There you go. Yeah. So basically, like, plan if you want in for, again, Gen V, the Continental, or Good Omens, basically plan to sit through like the entirety of the panel before. So make sure that you get there in enough time, like, to get in for that panel. I think those three will definitely be very well attended.
And I think the WB things usually are pretty well attended, but having just the one screening at 9 p.m., I have no idea if that's going to make it more crowded or less crowded.
I mean, I think like plenty of people show up. I don't think it's like an empty room, but I also am pretty sure you can usually just walk into those. Like I don't think it's you have to.
And
line
it's
up super early
interesting.
for that.
Yep, because the last panel is 4:15, which means it's going to go till about 5:15, 5:30, and then the room is empty for almost 4 hours. So again, this is another spot where they could put in some panels for last minute panels. Or maybe they actually have stuff already penciled in and they're just waiting for the studio to say, yes, we're going.
Well, I wonder if the Gen V, would they do a screening of that as well?
They have.
I mean, they might.
Yeah.
So again,
There's still plenty of time.
Yeah, last year Prime Video had a screening not at the convention center, but at the Rooftop Cinema Club on Friday night. And this year there are no films scheduled for the Rooftop Cinema Club on Friday night. So I am fairly certain that there is going to be a screening. If I had my way, it would be Good Omens, but it could be Gen V. I don't know the answer. I've been trying, but I don't know the answer.
So for when to get there for the Justice League movies, since it's such a big gap, since we don't expect the room to fill up, if it starts on time, just get there at least 10 minutes early in case they don't let people into the room until close to when the show starts. So
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a big gap like that, do they ever like close the room off?
they
and
might,
just
if there is
wait?
nothing else, they may close the room off just so they don't have to have people in there monitoring it, and they don't have to have a bunch of volunteers, and they can let people go and have a reduced staff that comes back for,
Makes
you know,
sense.
just this thing. So I think they probably would close it off and then reopen it half an hour to an hour before. So yeah, get there at least 10 minutes before it starts, just in case there's a small line that gets there, you know, of all the people that get there right before start.
Okay, let's
and then we
talk
have-
Hall
Yeah.
H.
Hall H. The last thing is Hall H, which seats 6,500. It starts at 11:30 with Collider Directors on Directing. It's going to feature David Leitch, who did Deadpool 2 and Bullet Train, Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One and The Creator and Godzilla, and Justin Simeon, who is the director of Dear White People, Bad Hair, and the upcoming Haunted Mansion. They are going to take part in a wide-ranging and in-depth discussion about directing. We'll also feature new footage from The Creator and Haunted Mansion, and all attendees will take home an exclusive Comic-Con poster of The Creator.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, this is something that has been happening every year. It's Collider brings 3 directors and they talk about stuff, and it's typically people who have other things to promote, or the movie itself is getting promoted at the show. So I guess we'll see if there's going to be.
I'm
one of these-
pretty sure that I remember Stephen Weintraub saying that like he would have footage. So
Right. But will we have other panels for these for the movies themselves coming up maybe on Saturday? Because
maybe.
we don't know. And then at 1 p.m. we have The Walking Dead Universe, which is a very short description for a bunch of stuff, which is fans will get exclusive first look access to all things The Walking Dead Universe. Absolutely no mention of anybody who's going to be showing up or anything, although AMC does tend to send out press releases for these things. So maybe we'll find out in advance. So we'll have to wait and see. And then at 4 p.m., that makes I think the Walking Dead panel is it 2 hours long or an hour and a half or something like that?
I think it's 2 hours.
So they'll probably fit in at least 2 different things that they're doing. And then Entertainment Weekly is at 4 p.m. with the Brave New Warriors. And that is the panel where they just bring a bunch of random actors that they either bring in or that are randomly at Comic-Con anyway to do a panel discussing working in Hollywood and all of those kind of things. And that is it. So what do we think about room flow? I mean, Walking Dead still, despite not being as popular, is still a force to be reckoned with. And essentially, I think it's just down to, again, do they announce cast are showing up or not? I think that's the repeated refrain from this evening.
I don't know. I mean, so far, like these are the two best panels in Hall H. So it's like, does everybody flock to these, or is everybody just crowding up the floor in the offside lines instead? And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think people who are normal Hall H denizens are still going to go to these because they're still good panels that have stuff that they typically enjoy with the directors and the Walking Dead and the Brave New Warriors. So I think that these will be very well attended, and there's even a chance, especially if a few cast members do show up to the Walking Dead, that this may actually end up with a line outside. So honestly, get there during the Collider panel if you're worried, unless you hear and are paying attention on social media and you see that there are issues, and then get there earlier. So keep an eye on things. But honestly, again, do not wait overnight for this unless you want.
No.
You absolutely have to sit in the front row.
No, totally agree. Absolutely no reason to wait overnight. I mean, yeah, unless you want like super front row.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, it's gonna be crowded, but it's not going to be packed unless they announce a bunch of actors are showing up for The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay, that's it. So let's go in the proper order this time, as opposed to my crazy order last time. Let's give some overall impressions of Friday's schedule. Sarah, what do you think?
I think it's good. I don't know. I don't remember last year. So you guys can't ask me.
Are you happy with the things that you might be able to go see?
Yeah, because I mean, there's only like a couple. That's the thing for me. There's not. Friday's usually not as the busier day. Thursday's usually my busy day, and so there's a couple. I'm going to be in and out. I don't have to sit in a room all day. We can go on the off, check out the offsites, check out the floor. So I'm happy, but yeah.
So here is what I will say, because I write a post about like the highlights of each day. And I typically like keep open last year's just so I can kind of like see the format. And honestly, like as I was writing today's and glancing at last year's, I was like, I'm saying like the exact same things. Like, you know, there's only a handful of things in Hall H, like it's reliant on the movies, but there's a lot more on TV. Like here's the animation panels. I was like, this is basically very, very similar to last year. And again, considering the situation that we are in, I think that's fantastic. I think they have done a great job programming this. Hopefully it all stays and doesn't get canceled. But I think they've done about as well as they could. And I think this is a pretty normal, honestly, Friday schedule. Like maybe it's not 100% normal, but I feel like it's like 80%.
And there's the usual wide range of things. I mean, we talked about it with, you know, the video game creators and, you know, the comic book folks with Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, and just going across. There are so many things that really in all those other rooms we don't talk about that happen at this show, that you have to remember that we're only talking about the biggest rooms, and that's only, what is it, a third of the panels that happen on any given day, maybe less.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of stuff to do if you want to find some panels. There are plenty of panels you can go check out. They're just not necessarily going to have, you know, the cast of Walking Dead on them, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
But there may have something fun to go listen to, or something interesting, or something you never knew you were going to be interested in. So take a look at the schedule, see what's happening. Stay off the floor so some of us can go walk the floor. We'll let you walk the floor another day, but you know, pick a day. Don't walk the floor all 4 days. Go to other panels.
Okay, so do we want to do our dark horse picks?
Yes, let's do those.
Okay, Sarah, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, my first one is a look back at animated series from the 80s. It's at 10 a.m. in room 32AB. It's got a whole bunch of the writers from, you know, the Ghostbusters, the Smurfs, Scooby-Doo, DuckTales, all kinds of stuff from, you know, when we were kids, and so I love stuff like that. I think it'd be fun. There's probably some cool stories and just the nostalgia of it. And the second one is at 10 or 11 a.m. in room 9, the Women of the Hollywood Art Department, which I just think I love behind the scenes stuff. I love interior design and art departments. And so it's got people from everywhere or everything everywhere all at once, Westworld, Little Mermaid, Guardians of the Galaxy, Bullet Train, Star Trek Picard, Abbott and Elementary. I mean, Yellowstone, WandaVision, like amazing visual shows. So I think something like that would actually be really interesting.
That sounds fun. Yeah. All right, James, what are yours?
Okay, you ready for this?
Yep.
Only got 2 again, folks. I pared down this year. I know. It's
Comic-Con's
scary.
dead.
Carrie has 4 though. How many do you normally have, Carrie?
Usually
I mean,
have
I feel
like 2 or 3 usually.
Yeah, I usually have 2, and I just want to say that I actually found one for Thursday that I totally forgot to mention, so I'm gonna do that at the end.
So my first one is 3:30 in room 10. This is the Gru panel, but the Gru panel doesn't have the guy who does Gru. Sergio Aragonis is not at Comic-Con this year, so this panel is Stan Sakai, awesome. Carrie Strachan, also awesome. And Mark Evanier, podcast guest on this show. And I think it's going to be hilarious because since Sergio isn't there, they're probably going to tell a ton of stories about Sergio that they can't tell when he is there. So I think this may be a hilarious panel. They're also apparently,
really
according to the description, they're going to try and phone Sergio while they're there, which, as it says, will be great fun if it works and probably funnier if it doesn't. So yes, I think if you want to be entertained, this is probably a panel that will entertain you. And my second one is a prime example of just how random and weird and interesting panels can get at Comic-Con. It is 6 p.m. in room 11. It is the How to Use Hypnotic Language for Dynamic Storytelling. And this features a certified hypnotherapist, Grant Offenberger, who moderates the panel of diverse storytellers to share their techniques towards engaging an audience's attention. And the panelists include the writer of Silo, the recent Apple TV show, Hugh Howey, Sin Bodhi, a WWE superstar, Tim Chismar, who is from Spooky Ninja Kitty Media, and prepare, Techno Destructo from the band Gwar.
Okay.
Yes, Gwar, a member of Gwar, is going to be at Comic-Con, and this is just crazy that this kind of thing happens only at Comic-Con. But anyway, hypnotherapy at Comic-Con.
Do you think they will hypnotize anyone?
I really hope they do.
That would be funny.
I really hope they do. And then I think maybe they should bring some of Gwar's stuff and then make this person get dressed up as someone from Gwar and film them, and everybody will laugh. Gwar is hilarious. They're a band and they are crazy. And so I think it'd be great. Anyway, that's my thing.
Cool.
I just figured this one would be I just wanted to point out the crazy randomness of Comic-Con.
We love the crazy randomness of Comic-Con. It's kind of our favorite thing. So I'm going to do my dark horse picks. So I wanted to mention that at 2 p.m. in room 9, there's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the art department, which has a bunch of like production designers and art directors and graphic designers and all kinds of stuff from the third film. And I really enjoyed the film, and I think this would be a really cool like look into that movie. At 2 p.m. in room 29AB is Tales from My Spinner Rack Live, which has Gary Sassman, who's been on our podcast twice now. He's the former director of programming and publications for Comic-Con International, but it's basically his weekly blog feature that he does on his website that he is bringing to Comic-Con. He did one of these at WonderCon earlier this year. This one will be all about Jimmy and Lois. still crazy after all these years. And he will be talking about comics from the 1950s and the 1960s, starring them. And then as Cassandra at our chat correctly predicted, one of my dark horse picks is 6 p.m. in Marriott Grand 12 and 13 for Our Flag Means Death, Ships on Chips. I love this show. I think it's great. And it's just a whole bunch of fans talking about the series. And I would love to go to this unless there's a Good Omens screening. Please let there be a Good Omens screening. And then at 8 p.m. in room 32AB is a puppet-filled Dungeons and Dragons one-shot, which is some puppeteers doing some live D&D. And come on, that sounds fun. I thought it sounded...
Puppets make everything better.
Yes.
Puppets win. Puppets always win. And then not for Friday, but for Thursday, I totally wanted to mention this. So if you love the Scream movies, and you should because they're awesome, they're doing Ghostface Killer Trivia, where Ghostface himself, Roger Jackson, will be doing Scream trivia. I think that sounds amazing.
Yes. The voice over the phone is going to be running trivia for Scream. That's pretty cool.
So fun. Yes. That's at 8 p.m. in room 25 ABC on Thursday, not Friday. So
there you go.
Yes.
Hey, that's everything.
So far.
2 more days to go. We're going to see just what's happening on Saturday and the mystery of, will there be a Hall H Sunday? Which I think there will be. I think Funko's going to be in there unless they move everything to Saturday. We'll see. But I still think Funko's going to do their big panel because they did a big panel at WonderCon, just like they did at Comic-Con last year. So I think they're going to continue doing their live show and all that kind of cool stuff. So I think it will happen.
Well,
we'll see, though.
Like I said, I mean, maybe they're just going to give their big slot to, I think it's A Murder at the End of the World. It used to be called The Retreat, and I keep getting the new name confused. But maybe they give their big slot, FX does, to that. And I also still feel like there is a world in which FX could bring the Ryan Reynolds football thing.
Wrexham?
Welcome to Wrexham?
The Wrexham?
Yes, welcome to
that would be
Wrexham.
awesome.
Yes.
That would be cool.
I still feel like there's a vague possibility. Like, it's in San Diego, like 2 days after the convention.
Yes.
Come on, kids. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Ryan Reynolds better show up at the convention for something, some random thing. He got to just like randomly appear on a panel. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, come on. So
All right.
We'll see.
Okay. So covering the things that we usually cover at the end of the show, we have attendee of the week, which I think we only have one more coming. If you want to be selected, rush that in now.
Yep. Rush that in now. There will be one final one for this season next Friday. Instructions for how to enter are up on our homepage.
If you know someone that still needs badges or wants to try and get them, the auctions are still going on Comic-Con's official eBay page, which you can find on their site or search for them on eBay. I think they're running until like another 10 days or so, roughly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I feel like last year it was like 2 days or so before the convention that like they finally cut it off, because I know somebody got one like super last minute.
Right. And then on our contest hub on our site, we have contests for a few things, but not a whole lot right now. But anything that we can find will be put there. And what else do we got? Carrie, I think you're up next.
And then we just wanted to give a shout out to our patrons who help keep the lights on here. And if you appreciate the work that we do, and we really hope that you do, you can support us by joining our Patreon. We've been doing a lot more fun stuff for them lately. We do like a monthly giveaway. We've got upgraded tiers where like you can get a shirt. And I think those actually just mailed if you paid for the year. We've got pens that will be given out, all kinds of really fun stuff. And also once a week, I get to speed read through the news. So super fun. Thank you again to our patrons. And then we wanted to mention that Prize Mule is back this year. We are doing all kinds of super fun stuff, in addition to having so many fun companies who are donating items. And let me pull up this list and I will read through it because it is stacked. We have so many great companies this year, but let's see here.
including,
We have,
go ahead.
including what? We have giveaways this year from Bandai Namco Toys and Collectibles, Committed Comics, who will be, I think, giving us some stuff from their booth. But Committed Comics, if you notice today, they've sponsored some trading cards for the mules themselves, which Sarah designed. She's got her mule right there. You can get those either by finding the prize mule, or you can head to Committed Comics booth. Make sure you keep an eye on their Twitter. They'll be doing a password every day if you want Gary. He is free with purchase at the Committed Comics booth. So again, make sure you head over there and follow them on social. We've also got prizes from Cryptozoic Entertainment, Camilla DeErico, Diamond Select Toys, Entertainment Earth, Factory Entertainment, Hasbro, Kid Robot, Mondo, Monogram International, NECA, Priscilla Wilson, and we showed off what she's giving this year, and it's amazing. Roosevelt's, Symbiote Studios, Toddland, UCC Distributing, Upper Deck, Universal Pictures, USA Opoly, which is the op, Viz, What's Your Passion Jewelry, Yesterday's, and I think more still to come. So, woo.
And Snake Eyes.
Yes, who knows? Maybe
Hopefully.
I think this year it's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs
Yeah.
I think you're getting meatballs this year, kids.
A lot, probably a lot of them.
Oh God. But yes, there will be a lot of really great giveaways. So again, make sure that you follow along on Twitter. And what booth is Committed Comics? I think it's
L09.
He's in there. Tell
L09. Yes, there we go.
Yep.
You just said.
I pay attention.
Good job.
Nice.
Good job. Yes, I knew it was small press L. I
There's
had
Aaron.
a third of it.
Hi,
Woo.
Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. We can't wait to see you. Okay.
And then let's see. Thank you again to our SDConcast sponsor, Adrenalizing Media. Be sure to stop by booth 2548 to check out their NR City Stories Extreme, a painful birth comic. They'll have Transformers composer Vince DiCola, stuntmaster Andy Chang, and cover artists Lucio Perillo, Carla Cohen, Ralph Paul, and Eric Eepmon Chan. Again, that's 2548 booth. And you can also find more information on social media at nrcity_universe. So next episode will be in 2 days, just 2, Sunday afternoon, evening at 4 p.m. Pacific. We will cover Saturday and Sunday schedule, just like this show. And then next Tuesday, so in 4 days, we will do our final SDConcast before the con, and we will be doing it just as a news coverage, last minute things, question and answers, FAQs, whatever you want to call it. We're basically going to cover everything we can before we head to Comic-Con the next week. So that's a lot of stuff. There's a
lot of stuff.
There's a couple more weeks to get the newsletter, right?
Well, we'll be sending it on Sunday this week, and then we'll probably.
I think there'll be one more after that. I think.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think we have 2 more planned.
Yeah. Yes. So you'll get one this Sunday, and then probably one next Saturday. Woo.
Oh.
And then that's it.
Because I leave Sunday, so we gotta do it Saturday.
We gotta do it Saturday. Yep.
So
if you've
thank
not
you
signed
all.
up for that,
Yeah.
If you've not signed up for a newsletter, it's at the bottom of our site.
There you go. And thank you all for joining us. This was an epic 2-hour thing covering all of this. So thank you for tuning in and also for listening later. And Sarah, where can we find more of you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Rufus Bear. And I don't really use it that often, but for Comic-Con I do. And on Instagram, I'm more active there at Slacy. There's 3 S's, SSS Lacey. And I actually use Instagram a lot more at Comic-Con, but than anything else. So my stories. So Carrie, where can we find more of you on the internet?
You can find me in line at the Sharknado panel, apparently. 10,000 of my closest friends. No, I am on Twitter at Carrie Dixon. Or I'm on the blog Twitter. Like, it's me. Hi guys. James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am everywhere online at Dan Regal, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for links for my wife and I for across whatever. And thank you to Beth, my wife, the producer of the show, for putting it all together and getting it into your ears for you listening later. And also, I am on a podcast called Citizens of Lorcana, covering the new upcoming Disney trading card game called Lorcana.
We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up in the blog, or you can search for SD Concast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We are also on Stitcher Radio and Spotify. The link is in the show notes. And again, don't forget that we also have a Patreon. The links to that are at the bottom of the site, or I can tweet it again when we get off this. And yes, Tom and the chat, Beth does rule.
Yes, I agree.
It does.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at st_comic_con. Thank you all for listening. Everybody, go shawarma. Do you think they make the shawarma now out of Sharknado sharks?
I knew you were going to end with the Sharknado joke.